So let me just kind of talk about this a little bit. So at this point, you can also start figuring out how your windows are going to work on this end. Because you've got this roof, your interior vault will go half of that. Okay. So you can then put these windows that are going to go, and these are going to go into the gable end truss. Okay, we're going to have the truss manufacturer make these openings. Now make this thing look concentric though. Because where you put these windows, I want those things to kind of line up above them. Okay, right? Because remember, uniformity is attractive. Okay, you don't want scattered type of stuff. Let's see. So you can start planning. One thing I'll tell you with this wall, save yourself some edits. Don't put any windows in the first 4 feet of this wall here. Any 4 feet of this one here. All of you on your floor plans, I never really corrected this, but you're going to need that for the shear wall. So if you have any of your windows on this wall within 4 feet of these corners, get them in. Okay. You can do 2 next to each other. You can do 1 if you want here. Whatever. Make this thing look good so that we got good views off that back side. Right? Again, give me 4 feet here, or you're going to have to take this to an engineer. And you're going to pay another $600-700 for that.
Is that just on this?
Just on this wall. I think we can make all the rest of them work. All right, when you go to put these together, you should now be dealing with some hatching. Try and get your stuff. Go masonry products around this structure. I don't have the CC&Rs. I've looked everywhere for them. I've emailed the owner of the lot. He's going to look and try and get them to me. But I remember, I know this thing says all exterior surfaces must be a masonry product. So that's stucco, brick, these types of things.
No combo, no wood.
You can actually go wood, but it's got to be stained. What it specifically states no vinyl products
Gotcha.
whatsoever for this subdivision. And they prefer masonry products. Yeah, if you want to put some metal stuff that is appealing, like travertine or some of these types of things, the cool new metals. What's that copper one?
Tin?
No, it's a copper. They got a new material. Our visitor center's got it on it. It's a copper-looking thing, but it wears over time and gets this real rustic look. But it's a lifetime deal. They got some pretty cool exterior products out there. Start putting that stuff together. When you go to doing your front deck and your columns and all that stuff, let me see if I can go to the elevation we drew. I'm going to have to do it. Okay, so I've got a deck sitting above this guy, right? Okay. For now, you don't know where your columns are going to sit down here to hold this deck up. Okay. Just kind of use your best guess and say, well, you know what, I bet you a column goes there, and I'll bet you one goes there. Start putting them in. We'll run the beam calcs, and that's going to tell us where our columns go when we get to there. Okay. So you're going to have to guess a little bit on how we're carrying this deck for now.
So you want the elevation with over without the deck on it?
No, I want the deck on it. The deck's part of the structure. Yes, your elevation should have the deck on there. Boy, I don't know if I have on this computer a good example of how to do a deck. I don't think I do. I mean, I got some pictures of one, but I don't even know if this one does. No, I can find you some if you need to. All right, now one thing I do need you to put on these is, and let me go to the originals. Okay, so what you should have, you must have them turned off. Don't have. Okay, right here. And I better change the color of that stuff. One thing I want to make sure you have is your finished floor, finished ceiling lines for both floors. Okay. And I show them here. Now, in essence, what you do is you come outside the structure, okay, you use a phantom line. Okay. So this will be a phantom line. And then I just, right next to it, I put FF 100 feet, 0 inches. Okay. Now that's for your main floor. Then you'll come up to the ceiling, do another phantom line, and you'll put that elevation in. Okay. So this one will be a phantom. And I try and line them all up so they read right. So it's FC 108 feet 1 and 1/8 inch. Okay. And then you're going to have your lower floor, finished ceiling, finished floor. Calculate the elevations based off of 100 feet. This is the standard elevation of your main floor, and it's an architectural standard. So this one down here, this ceiling, I remember, wasn't it 14 and 1/8 inches, our floor cavity? Okay. So if I take 100 feet, okay, how am I going to subtract 14 and 1/8 from it? That's going to be my finished ceiling, correct? Well, a lot of different ways to do it. Let's do it this way. 99 foot, 12 inches, minus 14.125. Does that help you? How about we do this? 98,
Oh, 84.
let's make that one 24 inches. Isn't that still 100 feet? So it's going to be 98 foot, 9. I got to do it 23.1, that's 7/8. Okay. And 23 minus 14 is what? I gotta take my shoes off for that, it's more than 5. $98, 9 and 7/8. That's my finished ceiling of the basement, right? The elevation of it. So on your basement, you're gonna have another phantom line. And say finished ceiling. Right there. You've got this all drawn, right? So you can get all those dimensions right off of it. Make sure you get your height dimensions. After that, that's the only dimensions you really put on the thing. Now, when you then come in, you're probably going to do a little glass hatching, do your windows, do your siding, do your roofing, get all your hatch patterns on there, call out all the materials, okay, whatever they are. Put any roof slope symbols you may need. So when I see the profile of these roofs, okay, I should have stuff like this. So I've got my little 812 symbol, got my gable ends. You're going to put everything on here. This is your view that is going to tell the person how you are putting your exterior cladding on this structure. And you need to call it all out. You're not really dimensioning anything, you're using just local notes. Say, stucco this wall. Use a hatch pattern on part of it. Point to it. Use asphalt shingles. Use a little hatch pattern. Call it out. Okay? Big thing is put all your elevations in there and then work on your materials. Let me go to the plot of this because it's kind of hard to see this when it's on the CAD. I think this is still kind of back to where, that's my PDF one. Okay. So you end up with something that looks a little bit like this. I think this is going to work pretty well for our structure. Where I've got the front and the right side at a 1/4 inch. The other two views at an 1/8 inch. When you got your overalls kind of figured out, set up this plot sheet before you annotate. Because if you're annotating one like this one that's done at an 1/8 inch, my text still needs to be an 1/8 here, right? I need to be switching my annotation variable. This one's done at 1/4. Know the scale. If you want me to help you with this, I can do that. I think I want you to put all your elevations on one sheet.
Can you print it for us and put it here in the wall?
I'm sorry, say what?
Can you print this one for us and put it here?
There's a bunch of these in the folders. Okay, there's a bunch of these. This is your house, but it's not your house. Okay.
So do you just call it, this custom, fixed window?
Yeah.
Did you have to do the dimensions or just do custom fix and they have?
You guys want to see how we're probably going to have these windows? This worked really slick. This was a new situation that I've never dealt with before, is how do I get windows up in here? So I had quite a bit of discussion with other builders and things on how to do this. And we ended up coming to the fact that let's put them in the gable end truss. Because the client wanted these for the view. By the way, you'll see this house on Monday. We'll go look at it. They got a great view, a lot like this one, but it's a much more isolated structure. But he wanted this stuff, but we didn't want to build that end wall up all the way, because we were running into problems. He didn't want a vaulted roof, he wanted to go with a truss roof. But if we went with a true vault with a ridge down the middle, then it got way expensive when we posted it out. We could do it for 1/4 of the cost of the trusses. And so we had to figure that out. And that goes with the trusses. Now, I've got to give the truss designer all this information. You never see these windows in a floor plan, right? Because the floor plan's a section cut here. You see these windows. So what I ended up having to do on this thing, and it's just something you might have to kind of figure out, is, let's see, where did I put those? Let's see. Basement. Oh, I put it here on my basement plan. Let me put the prints of this up. So you can see it. Okay. So I called them out in that elevation, and I put a note on my window schedule saying, look at the right elevation for these window locations. So it's on my window schedule. Then I had to come in and I had to give all this information for the truss designer, because he's the one that has to come in and make this opening in that truss. And then we just stick the window in. So what I did is I came through and I thought I better give them an overall on the window sizes. And there's really only 3 windows here. These two are mirrored over here, right? And then I gave them the overall opening. And I correlated it back. You're not seeing, I got my line weights wrong here on this, they've gone bad. This is that line of the interior vault, it's the same one on the elevation. So this was just copied off to another area and dimension. And yeah, you're going to probably have to do it. It actually, once I figured this one out, this works so well. I've done it on several other houses since then. It's really a nice way to get some upper windows into these types of rooms, and doing it very cheaply. Very, very cheaply, as opposed to the alternatives.
So what happened was, the builders just did everything up to the bottom line, and then, and it was left open, and then the truss people that basically did the windows with the truss, or.
Yeah, they were built at a plant. And then
So
we
the
set the
windows-
truss down, boom, it's done.
The windows were installed at the truss company.
No, the windows were installed later. The holes were built in the truss.
Then you get window people.
Okay.
And then we had custom windows made, and then all we had to do is lift them up there and put them in. And done deal.
So basically, the truss, it was a truss, except it came down and had those.
Okay, got two pictures here. Here's a gable end truss. 'Cause you got, you're having a hard time visualizing this. This is a gable end truss. Okay. So all we did was have the truss, I want to use a pencil because I don't want to write a pen on this. We just had the truss manufacturer come in here and build me a little window spot. Okay. And they just changed all these boards in here for headers, stuff like that. They just built it right in this guy. So then all we had to do is take this, cran it, drop it on, slap them in, and you're off and going. I don't know what else to say on that, and because I'm not sure where you're all at on those elevations, other than put your decks on, guess on the call. You can draw the deck in pretty much as is. Add your finished floor, finished ceiling lines. Add your hatching, and then do a bunch of local notes calling out your materials. Set them up for prints. Right here. The footing part, I'll come back and handle that when we get to the foundations. We'll add to these. Okay. So right before you get here, you should have your print sheet set up. Then add your hatching, add your notes. It's a lot more than I wanted to take of your time today. I was hoping we'd get a lot of draw time, but I chopped into that a little bit. So I'm going to stop there. Are there any specific questions you have for me?
So what would you say we need to be focused on right now for today? What should we be focusing on?
First step would be fix any geometry, dimensions, locations that come off of the red lines of your floor plan. Not everybody's got those back. I took Majed and Missy's home last night and never even got to them. Okay, I'll get those done today. Cheryl's yours still in the drawer. I haven't gotten to yours. Gabe, I haven't gotten to yours yet either. So you can't do that, but those of you that have, that's your first step. Okay, is get that stuff fixed. Second step would be finalize your roof. Okay. Try and set it up to print. So you've got your zones in it, you got your framing on it. I'm not sure if you've got your little exterior roof stuff done. Put your notes in it, get that done. That ought to be your next step. After that, I would go straight to your elevations and try and get those to a stage where we can print them. Okay. By that, you've got all your shapes completed on it. You've set up your print sheet. You're starting to add hatching and notes for those materials. Okay. So that would be my order of priority. Okay. Maybe what we ought to do is put this up on the board. And homework for this weekend, make sure you preview chapter 39 and those, specifically those tables. That's what you really need to know. Majid, you had a question?
No, you said that you will teach us today how to print the blocks to be ready for Monday, that you 7 and 8.
Oh.
We wrote it, but you said that you'll teach us how to print.
Oh, okay. I don't know, let's just, should we print them out, let's just print them out of model space. Where's this thing at? Wrong drawing. Okay, so we've got this guy, right? Oh. So you got this character. You might want to help yourself out by labeling it a little bit, like this is lot 7, this is lot 8. Maybe throw a little text on the side. All you would really need is not the azimuth, but the distance. Okay. Now, let's just figure out what size we want to plot the thing first. I think you're going to want it on a B sheet. So I'm going to just print right out of here. Here's a quick way to find out what you're going to plot something. Okay. So I'm going to just shoot it to the M75. I'm gonna go to a B sheet. I'm gonna snap a window around it. Click on, when you snap a window around it, click on fit to paper, and it will calculate a ratio of the window you did. It's saying 1 to 500. Okay, so now we want to stick with an architectural scale. Do you have an architectural scale that's 1 to 500?
1 to 600 is 1 foot to, or 1 inch is 50 feet.
1 inch to 6 feet,
50 feet,
50 feet?
yeah.
That's actually a civil scale. Do we have an architectural scale that would get us there? Take off fit to paper then, and then start looking at those. I think you do. You have 1/64. What's the DSF of 1/64? That's going to be really close, okay? Because if I have 1/64 is equal to 1 foot 0 inch, okay, this goes to 12 inches times 64, doesn't it? What's that number? You got your little slide thing, does it have a 1/64 with a DSF on it?
Mm-mm.
No.
That probably only goes up to 32nd, right?
That's 768.
Okay, so that's too big. Okay. So we should have another one in there. What's a 32nd? Isn't that 298?
384.
384?
Yeah.
So we're gotta stick with the 64. So I'll just use that one and preview it, see what it looks like. Okay, that's the size of it on there. You do want something to scale. You could make a scale on here for 1 inch is equal to 500 feet, but don't forget that factor of 12 that's in here on this guy. That's good enough though. That's all I really need. This thing might look better in a portrait orientation. Maybe I can reduce the scale to a 32nd if I go portrait. Just kind of play with it a little bit. Let's do 11 by 17. Let me switch this to a portrait and go a 32nd. Let's see what that one looks like. Darn. Not gonna work. So I'll go to a 64 B sheet. Again, Majid, I would recommend label the length of the sides because you're gonna want that reference. You're standing out there in the field, we're gonna see the side of that lot and you're gonna see on there, oh, that's 300 feet. And it's gonna give you a reference out in the field. That's all you gotta do. So have a copy of that ready Monday. So I'm hoping we're out of here about 8:30 on Monday. Okay. So if you're late on that morning, does anybody think they're gonna be late on that? If you're after 8:30, you're on your own here, because we'll be gone. If for some reason you think you get held up, text me and we might be able to wait an extra couple minutes. We gotta get out there to do our stuff though, to get back on the right time. Any other questions? Thanks for reminding me of that, Majid. Anything else?
Question, I noticed you, didn't delete your straight lines, and you want them on there?
I'll delete them for the final.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as what we wear, just normal shoes, normal clothes?
You're gonna be in the dirt.
Fragrance.
Wear clothes for working outside. It's supposed to be warm, low 60s, but at 9 o'clock in the morning, it'll still be chilly. Be prepared. I have no idea if the wind's coming up.